Okay, Structure Blue, version 17. This section is the accounts payable changes. So first, let me mention that in the general ledger section, there is a new proc called GFM that will allow you to do a soft close of your periods. So maybe you don't have all your figures back from your accountant, but you don't want anyone posting any more vouchers to a particular period. We can now do so with that soft close. So you may get a message now that your valid posting date range is, and it may not be a full 12 months here. It's a good indication that you've done a soft close. All right, so if you get a message like that, you're not sure why, check with your system administrator. Maybe they've decided that May is done. We don't want to post any more vouchers to it, and that's why we're getting this message. We've also made a change now, so if we're not going to be bumping into each other. So if someone is running a voucher register, let's say, we don't want someone else in general ledger closing the month, because voucher registers are going to update to general ledger, and we don't want that messed up there. So you may get a message when you're running a GMC, say, hey, Marilee is running the VRU, you can't continue. Okay. That being said, if someone is in the middle of a GMC, you will not be able to run an update, be a voucher update or a check update. Again, we don't want people bumping into each other. Usually what you should be doing is when you're getting ready to close a month, a GMC or a GPU, please let everyone know in your office that that's what you're doing. Okay? You shouldn't have anyone doing any kind of updates to general ledger when those procs are being done. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Go to the vendor master screen. In the vendor master screen, there is a new field that says inactive. This will keep vendors from showing up in the search. We've started here with the search. That's what the request was from a customer, so that's what we've done. All right. If you know the vendor number, you can still type in the vendor number and it will come up, but it won't show in searches. Okay. You may see, and we'll see this later, if there's a document management button at the bottom is flashing, that means that there isn't a document attached to this vendor. And check out the document management video on how that all works. So let's go over to a vendor search. So here I am at VVE. When I click on vendor number, a search is going to come up. The search has changed dramatically. And we're going to see this type of search everywhere. Customers, vendors, material. Okay. Let me first make note of the show inactive. It won't show inactive vendors unless I specifically ask for them. Okay. All searches now will have a text search where I can start typing in where I want to go. Now I'm searching by short name, so when I type in KE, it's going to bring me to any vendor that starts with KE. I don't have the start button set, so it's only going to show me the vendors that have KE in the short name. If I click on start, it will bring up all the vendors, but starting with the KEs that I've asked for. This text search also, if I do a find, will look at all fields to find that combination. So if you are looking for all vendors in Illinois, you could type in IL and it will go and find Illinois. It will also find the IL in Mills, so keep that in mind. All right. We'll look at this in one of the other searches, but check that out. Okay. Inquiries and reports for accounts payable. First, the VMR. When you go to the maintenance in VMR, you'll notice there are 4 more columns here. Okay. So if you need to print out a name and address listing, you can now do so and get all of the name, both address lines, the city, state, zip, and I actually have the phone number as well in here. Because we've added 4 more columns, we had the need to do wide print. All right. And we also, while we're in here, decided to give you the export spreadsheet option and the create spreadsheet option. Exports will create a CSV file that are saved in the Other tab on your list printed reports, or a Create will automatically launch Excel as soon as you close the view. So let's take a look at this report. It has my vendor's number, name, addresses, the city, state, zip, and phone. And when I close the report, Excel will automatically launch and everything will be put into each column appropriately. Okay. VCI. We've made some dramatic changes to this inquiry, which I think you will like. If you just put in the vendor number with no check number, you will now get a list of all the checks for this vendor. You will also see any direct withdrawals that you may have done for this vendor. There is a print button. So if you wanted the vendor saying, can you just give me a list of all the checks that you've sent to me? You can now do that right here. If you drill down on a line, you'll get your detail for that one check, and you will have a print here. So if a vendor calls up and says they shredded their remittance register by mistake, you can quickly get them a replacement for it. Okay. VHI. We've made a few changes in here. Notice I've brought up the 999 vendor. If you use the miscellaneous vendor, your invoice number always just showed you what was in the reference field before. So we've added the reference column as well. So this is good for the miscellaneous vendor to see both the invoice number and reference, but any vendor will be very helpful because if you use purchase orders, your PO number will also now display. You'll also notice we have a column to the far right which will indicate if there is an image attached to a voucher. So let's drill down on this voucher. First, I want to point out that in this box here it will show you any checks that have been written against that voucher, what the check number was, how much, and the GL number that was used, what period it was that check was posted to. So if you have any issues or not quite sure, if you have more than one checking account that you draw your payables from, you can't find something that you're looking for and you know what the voucher is, check to see what GL number was used. Because that voucher that we selected had a little lowercase I next to it, my document management button will be flashing red. This indicates that I have attached a copy of the voucher to this entry. So if I click on document management, the invoice will come up. All right. So I'm going to close this. VGI and VAI also has that lowercase I. When you drill down, you have that document management button, and we will see the image for that voucher. Okay. The VAR. We've added some information to this report that I think will help the AP department in determining how much activity is going on in that department. I would have loved this. You can run this vendor activity report for a certain date range. And now we've added totals. Each vendor has the total number of vouchers that we've posted during that date range and also a grand total. So 46 vouchers we've entered for this time frame. If you print out the check part of it, it'll tell you how many checks you've written. I've done 50 checks in that time frame as well. So a number of people have asked for a way to determine how much the AP department is doing. Batching. We've added batching for the payment side of things in payables. We've always had batching for entering vouchers. So if you didn't want to be bumping into people on the voucher side of things, we've had that. But now we're giving you the opportunity for more than one of you to be doing check runs at the same time. Please make sure you don't have anything sitting out there when you turn this question on. So there will be a control question that says, do you want to batch your AP payments? So let's see how this is going to work. If you use VSV to select payments, if you do select payments, you run your cash requirements and then do a VCK for your check runs. you'll see a difference in here. You may see some lines highlighted in yellow. The white lines are the ones that you have access to. Okay. The system will also tell you whether you have batching enabled. You will tell right away if you have yellow lines that it is enabled. But here I've noticed I've got 2 lines that I've in white that I have forces on. The totals at the bottom are just those 2 entries because these are mine. The yellow lines, so if I go to force one that has a yellow line on, the yellow highlight on it, if I try to force it, I will get a message saying, nope, can't, it's batched by another user, and it will tell you the user ID who has it. Okay. In VIC, we'll also see our batching enabled. Any yellow highlighted lines are already taken by another user, so you cannot take them for your check. But I also want to mention we can now do a partial payment in VIC. So if you have a large invoice, you want to cut a check quickly for them, and you only want to do a partial amount, you can now do so. In VAM, again, we've got the batching enabled information up here. You've got yellow lines indicating someone else is taking care of those. Okay. The undo button has always been here, which will just undo the transaction you're in. A restart will ask you to clear out what you've done and take you back to the beginning of the screen here. Or a cancel will restart everything. It clears out everything that you have in VAM and will take you back to the menu. You will not have it, it'll clear out your batch. So no more asking, do you want to return to VAM? Do you want to cancel VAM? Do you want to update? All those questions. It'll just clear everything out and bring you to the menu. Okay. If you do proceed and you have some entries, when you print out the VAM report, the system will tell you what that direct withdrawal number is if you did a direct withdrawal. This is the number that we're going to see in the payables history. It'll also be what we see in general ledger, in the checkbook reconciliation, in the checkbook inquiry. For those of you that do direct deposits for payables, you can now set it up so you email the vendor the check stub automatically. If you use payroll direct deposit and you email those check stubs automatically, this works the same way. Because we've added batching to our payments, we added a new proc to the payments menu, VPB. So depending upon whether you are an admin user or not will depend on which screen you see. If you are an admin user, you'll see something similar like this, which will show what the batches are that are out there, but you can reassign a batch to someone else if you want to. If at all possible, have them finish their batch or log in as that user and finish the batch for them. But if that won't work for whatever reason, you can reassign it to someone else. If you are a non-admin user, you'll just see who has stuff hanging out there. Because we've made some changes here, on the VBI, the batch inquiry, which is for your vouchers, we've made a few changes as well, where you can reassign a whole batch of vouchers sitting in VVE to another user. So if you don't sign in as that user, maybe change their password, log in as that user and run the update, you can just reassign it to someone else. If you are a non-admin user, you will not be able to reassign things. If you have batching on, check out VBI. I've found in the last couple of months, I've gone into VBI and there have been some batches hanging out there for people that no longer work at the companies. And they go and run the report and there are some things that have been hanging out there for some time. Or that's why they were getting some messages saying duplicate invoice message, because they were. Someone had put them in but they had never updated them. So check out VBI. Next, we've made some changes to subcontractors. You can attach documents to a subcontract. And again, you would be clicking on the documents and adding there. I've already have one attached, so I'm just going to show you how we can get it out. So if I have document management as flashing, I will see my information here. I would click on my little eyeball, and up would come my contract. Okay. Another change we made to VSM. Now in version 16 we made a change that we can have some vouchers attached to a vendor job that were not part of a contract. I wanted to take a discount. I don't want to hold a retainage. We were allowed to do that. But in doing so, it caused an issue when you did go to put in a subcontract after the fact. It wanted to automatically assign those vouchers to the subcontract, but we don't necessarily want to do that. So you may get a message now like this that says, nope, I don't want the vouchers that have already been posted to be assigned to this subcontract, and we'll be able to say no and continue on our way. In VSR, we've made a change. A lot of people have probably a lot of vouchers hanging out there on old jobs. You can now choose to run this via VSR for open jobs only. Okay. We also, there's a control question. When I run this VSR, you'll notice that they are listed in job number order. So we've got job number sequence, and you see all the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, 6. Okay. That might not be the way we want to look at this report. So if I answer this control question with a no, you'll notice it's slightly different. It's in vendor order. So here I have the first vendor in sequence 1, but then I see my 4100 with sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll see them all together. Okay. All right, those are all the changes for accounts payable version 17.